One thing I want to mention, if you don't know about it already, there is a newly diagnosed program that we have just begun to roll out. Uh, there are handouts on the table out there for that program. It's focused on the emotional and psychological impacts of a diagnosis with Parkinson's disease. So if you've been diagnosed within the last 24 months or so, consider getting a copy of that and call up Julie Bartlett and talk to her a little bit about the program, see if you're interested, and see if you fit the criteria for joining the group. And we encourage you, if you would like to participate in a group like that. She's a fantastic licensed mental health counselor, and she can be very, very helpful for folks who have been recently diagnosed. Those meetings will be about 90 minutes long. They'll run once a week for 4 weeks. They'll be at her offices in Pittsford. Um, and I think that's about it for new events that we're ready to talk about. We have ideas all the way out to at least June of next year. So we're working hard at getting good programming up and available for everybody. So a little bit about today's program, Scams 101. This is the second time we're running this program. We ran it several months ago in Irondequoit, and the reaction to the program was fantastic. I really enjoyed the program. I learned so much. I think you will too. Today, thanks to Sheila Brewer Montero of Lifespan, who is joining us all the way from Corning. She drove up this morning, and she had to drive up this morning because I made a mistake. The library, we originally had this scheduled for tomorrow, but the library let us know that the room would not be available tomorrow. I thought I let Lifespan know that. Evidently, I did not. And so I scampered around on Friday, holding my breath. And Sheila said, "Pick me." So so Sheila came to my rescue. Thank goodness. I'm going to let her introduce herself and introduce the program. And with no more nonsense from me, I'll hand it over to Sheila. And I'll switch out this computer.
Should I move this to the table for you briefly? Sure. So how many people have ever heard of Lifespan of Greater Rochester? Okay, you guys are familiar. We have 30 different programs now, and we're continually expanding. This long paper has a list of all of our programs and what each one is about and where it's done, okay? So what do? We're a nonprofit organization that serves people age 60 and older in the community. I am on a team of 3. There's 3 of us. We cover 12 counties, the 3 of us, as far as the New York State grant goes. But we really cover the entirety of New York State because nobody really is doing the kind of scams education programs that we are doing. So about half of my job is going out into the community and doing free presentations, and the other half of my job is really working one-on-one with victims. I grew up in the southern tier of New York, graduated from Alfred University, if anyone's ever heard of that. Oh, somebody raised their eyebrows, okay. And I was very fortunate. I went to Lehigh University on a full scholarship for graduate school, got a couple master's degrees there. I've spent most of my life in social work, but the last 10 years or so I've been in corporate security or working with nonprofits, really on the security side. I got hooked when I was working with some policemen, and I'm in now. I'm part of the security squad. All right, we're going to start off with some pretty grim statistics today. Every year, the Federal Trade Commission, which is noted up at the top, FTC, comes out with their statistics from the previous year. Usually they come out in March or April of the following year. Now we're just talking about New York State here alone. The number of fraud reports for New York State for 2023 was 260,523. Do you think that there were that many frauds and scams, or do you think there might have been more? Why do you say that?
People don't report them.
People don't report them, and why don't people report them? A lot of times they're embarrassed, or they don't know that they can report, or they don't know how to report, okay? New Yorkers were scammed out of $400.9 million in 2023. The average person lost $500. So this is just New York State from last year. You know the losses are way more than 400.9 million, again, because of the lack of reporting. Here are the top 5 frauds that were reported in 2023 in just the state of New York. We have our imposter scams. We're going to talk a lot about those today. Online shopping, no surprise there. During COVID, scamming really spiked because a lot of people were at home and they were online, so they were doing their shopping online, right? Internet services, prize, sweepstakes, and lotteries. I've got a whole slide about that. And of course, healthcare scams. Now we're talking about the entire United States for last year. A total of 2.6 million reports were made. Of course, we know it's a lot higher than that. Identity theft scams were the most reported scam last year to the Federal Trade Commission, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Total fraud losses for the United States reported $10 billion. $10 billion. Again, the median loss or the average loss per person was around 500. These were the 2 top methods of payment that were made to scammers: bank transfers or payments, and cryptocurrency, i.e. Bitcoin. I'm going to show you some other methods that scammers prefer as well. Now we've got to talk about average loss of money by age. So people age 0 to 69 lost on average $427. People 70 years and older lost an average of $1,127. Do you see that huge disparity there? Why do you think that's the case? So there's this idea of like taking things at face value, right? I've always been able to trust people. For decades of my life, I've trusted people, right? But the landscape is really changing, especially with access to the internet, okay? Another reason is older adults sometimes have more money than people in later generations. Why is that? Because they've worked their entire lives. They might have savings or, retirement or pension, Social Security check that they're getting on a monthly basis. And there's other reasons why scammers will target older adults, and we'll get to that later on. So, how do they target you? How many people have a cell phone? All right. Text messages. That's a big way to get people. They might be pretending to be from FedEx, like in this particular text. They might pretend to be from Amazon. We're sorry, your package cannot be delivered. Please click on this link to update your delivery preferences. Well, people panic, right? Because just about everyone has probably ordered something at some point online, right, to be delivered to their house. They're looking for you to click on that blue link. And once you do that, they're going to ask you your name. They're going to gather as much personal information about you that they can. They're going to ask you your address. They might even ask your social security number. You never know. These scammers are looking to get any little piece of personal identifying information they can. We also have email scamming. Looks just like it came from Amazon, doesn't it? Dear customer, we wanted to let you know that a recent unauthorized login was found in your Amazon account. They're looking for you to click on this orange link. And when you do that, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of personal information. But it's not Amazon. It's a scammer posing as Amazon. How many people in the room have heard of the grandparent scam? Okay. We're going to change the name of this. We're going to call it family scams because really it's what it is now. Okay, someone might claim to be a grandson or a granddaughter, but they could also claim to be your niece or your nephew or your cousin or your sister or your brother, right? Here's how the grandparent scam works. It's 11:30 at night, or maybe it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rings. And what's the first thing we think when we get a phone call at that time of day? It's an emergency. There's a disaster. What happened? Something's wrong. So we're half awake and we answer the phone, and the voice on the other end says, "Oh, Grandma, I'm so glad you answered. I got a DWI and I'm in jail and I need bail money. Can you please send me $10,000? Can you please send me $10,000? Another version of this is, the person is out of state traveling, or maybe they're out of the country, oh, I got in a terrible situation and now I don't have transportation. Can you send me money so I can get home? Okay, that's another thing they use. Every story I'm going to tell you today is true. The first story is about a gentleman who is in his early 70s, lives in Avon, New York. Please tell me I said the name of that town correctly. Avon, New York. Okay, very good. I met him, maybe a year and a half ago. And it was the week of his daughter's wedding. Okay, and it was the Thursday before her wedding. She was getting married on a Saturday. And it was 11:30 at night, and he got a phone call. And on his cell phone, it said his daughter's name and her phone number on the screen. So what do you think he did? Answered it. Looks like his daughter, right? On the other end of the phone was his daughter's voice. "Daddy, I'm so glad you answered. Some friends and I went out to celebrate a little early, and I got a DWI, and now I'm in jail. Can you please send bail money? I need $15,000. What do you think he did? Sent it. He sent that $15,000. Okay, Friday comes, the very next day. He's traveling to the state of Connecticut, which is where the wedding is going to be. He goes up to his daughter at the wedding rehearsal and says, "Honey, I'm so glad you're okay. I'm so glad no one got hurt in that car accident. And I'm so glad we got you out of jail in time for your wedding." Guess what? His daughter had no idea what he was talking about. Here's what happened. The daughter posted a video on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or maybe all of those places, and it had her voice on it, her audio from speaking, right? Here's what scammers did. They recorded her voice and they ran it through computer software that clones your voice. So now they have her voice, and they can make that voice say anything they want by typing it on the keyboard. So it did sound exactly like his daughter because it was his daughter's voice. Now you might think, oh, only super high-tech people can clone voices. No. If you have the average, comfortability with computers or your cell phone, you can do it in about 5 minutes. Now you might think, well, that voice cloning software, that must be really expensive, right? Only certain people have access to that. No, you can get it for free online. You can get that software for free online. So there's lots of versions of this. Here's what we tell people. If you get a call like that, right, and it says your family member's name on your phone, you can answer it. Now the person on the other end is going to sound upset, right? And that's part of the idea. They want to amp up your anxiety so that you act quickly and give them money. That's what scammers are counting on, okay? Here's what we tell people. After your loved one has told you what trouble they're in and what they need money for, it's going to be the hardest thing you ever have to do, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to hang up the phone. And then you're going to call that person at their real number and find out where they are. And if that person doesn't answer, you're going to call someone that knows where they are. Okay? Hi, my name is Roberta Smith. I live in Kolkata, India. I am a professional scammer. On any given day, I extort money from hundreds of victims. I make upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. My phone number changes often, but today you can reach me at 888-222-1515. I have been told I am very good looking and I will send you a picture. Does anyone recognize that voice? I haven't talked long enough. That's me. That's me. My colleague Justin asked me to read out of a book. He asked me to read for a minute, but the FBI is telling us it only takes 10 to 20 seconds of someone's voice to clone it. And that will get shorter and shorter as time goes by. Sometimes when I do these presentations, people say to me, I knew it was a scammer, but I answered the phone because I just wanted to waste their time, or I just wanted to play with them, and then I keep them on the phone for 20 minutes talking. Please don't do that, because guess what they're doing? They're recording your voice, and they can use your voice against your family members, pretending to be you, trying to get money. That's how they do it. Okay, I always have to take a deep breath after this one, or for this one. Romance scams, sweetheart scams. Remember I told you about half of my time is working one-on-one with victims? At any given time, I maybe have between 10 and 12 people on my caseload. Usually 80 or 90% of the people are romance scam victims. Another true story. Woman in her mid-70s lives in Nunday, New York, lives way out in the countryside alone. Okay, her husband had passed away maybe 8 years prior to when the story begins. She was pretty lonely. She was pretty isolated. During COVID, everyone got more lonely, right? And everyone got more isolated. So what did she do? She got online and she got on a dating website. And she met a man that claimed he was from the United Kingdom. This man called himself Michael, and he also claimed to be an engineer on an offshore oil rig. That's what he did for a living. Okay, they struck up a friendship. He talked to her every day, all day long. Good morning, beautiful. How are you? What are your plans for today? At the end of the day, I hope you have a wonderful night's sleep, baby, right? So their friendship moved to girlfriend, boyfriend, okay? He talked to her for 3 or 4 months, and the topic of money never even came up in the 4 months that he was talking to her on a daily basis all day long. And then one day she said to him, how are you doing today? And he said, well, I'm not so good. I got some bad news. Oh, what's wrong? What's happened? Well, my grandson has been diagnosed with a very rare condition, and it requires surgery. However, my family doesn't have the money to pay for his surgery. Notice, did that man ask her directly for money? No, he just mentioned it. He mentioned that the family didn't have money. Guess what her response was? How can I help you? I'm fine loaning you some money. I can give you some money. How much money do you need? That was the first financial transaction that happened between the two of them. So a month or two went by, and the grandson supposedly had his surgery, but sadly he passed away as a result of his illness. But guess what? The family didn't have money to pay for a funeral. So what do you think the lady did? She helped. Let me help you out. Everyone deserves to have a funeral, right? Every family, needs to help their loved one during that time. So she sent some more money, all right? Now, this whole time, her daughter is listed on her bank account, kind of like, I think the daughter was actually power of attorney, and that's why her name was on the bank account. And the daughter had noticed $500 gift cards being bought here and then and here and then. And the daughter either didn't feel comfortable bringing it up with her mom, or she was under the idea of, that's mom's money. She can do whatever she wants with it, right? But then the daughter got nervous because those numbers started going up. And she called our Lifespan, the main number, which is on our main brochure. which you want to make sure you grab before you leave. Okay, be scam aware. She called the number, ended up at my desk, and I talked to the daughter, and she said, I'm really concerned that my mother is the victim of a romance scam. I said, okay. I said, do you think your mom would agree to me coming out to the house and meet with her? Oh, yes, yes. So we set up a date. The three of us are sitting at the kitchen table in her mother's home, and her mother very slowly starts to tell the story of this whole romance, right? And I said to her, how is it that you've been sending the money? And she said, oh, gift cards. I've been buying gift cards and then reading the codes off the back to him on the phone, or, typing them in for our text. And that's how we do it. And I said, well, how many gift cards are we talking about? And she said she wasn't sure. She said, I have all of them in an envelope in the next room. Let me go get them. So she goes to get the envelope, brings it back. It's this big manila envelope, dumps them out on the table. And her daughter and I spent the time to try to organize them. By the time I had met her, she had sent $120,000 in gift cards, all in increments of $500. $500 at a time, up to $120,000. We believe that there were more transactions, but those were the only ones that we kind of had proof of, that I had the actual cards in my hands for. So what are the red flags of a romance scam? All right. How many people are on Facebook? Okay. A lot of times it starts out with Facebook Messenger, or someone comments on your post on Facebook if you don't have your privacy settings in a good place, okay? Hi, I just love your photos. You make such interesting posts. I would love to be your friend. Can we be friends? Can you send me a friend request? A lot of times it starts there. Then the person starts talking to the person on Facebook Messenger. A lot of times, though, they will quickly move the person from Facebook Messenger to another texting app, like to your regular old texting phone number, or they might ask that you talk with them on WhatsApp or Google Chat. And the reason that scammers move people from Facebook Messengers to one of these other texting platforms is because they know that those platforms aren't as closely monitored as Facebook Messenger. And that means they can get away with more. Here are some of the things people say to their victims. I feel funny admitting this, but I'm in love with you. I really want to meet you in person. I just don't have the money to visit you. Okay? The first red flag of a lot of romance scam is the person claims to be overseas. They might claim to be on an oil rig, like we just talked about. They also might claim to be a member of the United States military, and they're stationed overseas. That's the first red flag. I can't wait to see you face to face. I just don't have money for a plane ticket. No problem, honey. I'll send you money for a plane ticket. I just wish I could afford to come to you. All right. What are romance scams? They're imposter scams. What's an imposter scam? Someone calls you on your phone pretending to be someone else. Someone calls you on the phone pretending to be someone else. A lot of times the person will pretend that they're from the Social Security Administration, or they might pretend that they're from the IRS. They may even pretend to be from Medicaid or Medicare or some other government entity, okay? Does the Social Security Administration ever call us? I know, you can't even get through if you try. No, how do they communicate with us? U.S. mail. Good old snail mail, right? Another true story, I was working with a gentleman in his late 60s up in Rochester, New York. And he got a call one day on his cell phone, and on his screen it said Social Security Administration. And it had a 1-800 number or a 188 number. And he answered it. Sort of caught him off guard, right? Because he had never got a call from the Social Security Administration before. Answered it. Hello, is this Mr. So-and-so? Well, yes, it is. Hi, I have great news from you. I'm Agent so-and-so from the Social Security Administration, And we have wonderful news. Your Social Security check is going to go up $1,000 a month starting next month. All you have to do is confirm your personal information, including your Social Security number. Well, he was very excited that his check was going to go up, and so he gave him everything. About an hour after he got off the phone, he had a gut feeling, and I always tell people, please don't ignore your gut feelings. Please don't ignore those little hairs that stand up on the back of your neck. Okay? We were provided with those sensations for a reason, right? So what did he do? He called us and said, hey, I think I've just been scammed. And his turned out to be an identity theft. So they had stolen his name, his address, his Social Security number. I think he had also given them his driver's license. Just about everything he had, he gave them on the phone. And it takes a lot of time to straighten something like that out, right? First thing we had to do is alert his bank. And he needed a new bank account. And then when he got a new bank account, he had to alert Social Security, right? Can you get a new Social Security number? No, you can't, but they can put a note on your file saying that you were a victim of identity theft, okay? If you want to know more about identity theft, we have a little booklet here. It tells you exactly what you need to do. But please call us because we can walk you through it, okay? We can provide technical support on things you need to do when that happens. So after he let the Social Security people know, he, of course, had to provide them with his new bank information because that's how he was going to get his checks direct deposited. A lot of times scammers will threaten people. For instance, if they say they're from the IRS, they might say something like, you owe $5,000 in back taxes. And you know you don't because you pay your taxes every year, right? If you don't pay by noon, we're sending an agent to your house to arrest you. We're sending an agent to your house to arrest you. Just talked about those. Text scams. Okay, everyone had a cell phone. What about computer? Raise your hand if you have a computer, laptop, iPad, electronic tablet. Everybody. We've all got several devices these days, don't we? And how many times have you received a message where your screen may or may not freeze and it says, warning, your device has been infected? I get this message at least once or twice a month. At least once or twice a month. What should you do if you get that message? Okay, what else? Delete it. That's one option if it lets you, because sometimes your computer or your device is frozen, but sometimes it's not. All right. Do you want to click on a link provided? No. Do you want to call a phone number they're giving you? No, because they're looking to get you. Okay. So if you ever get that message, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the most important tool you have right here, and you're going to power that device completely off. If your device happens to be plugged into the wall because it's charging, you're going to unplug it from the wall. You're going to go about your business, do something for 20 or 30 minutes. By the time that much time has elapsed, you can go back and plug it back in, and 99% of the time, that message is going to be gone because you've allowed time for that connection to be severed, okay? But a lot of times people panic because they put these red triangles there or caution tape, right? Or it's making a terrible sound. And they're looking for people to click on that link or call that number. So I worked with a lady down in Chemung County, retired teacher, really, really nice lady. And she was on her church's laptop because she was the secretary of the church and she was doing some of the work at home. She got this message and she panicked, thinking, oh, this isn't even my laptop, it's the church's laptop. So what did she do? She clicked on the link. She called the number. The person on the other end of the phone answers, hello, this is so-and-so from Microsoft. I'm on the tech support team. How can I help you today? But the person isn't really from tech support. It's a scammer, okay? Well, I just got this message that my device has been infected. Oh, don't worry, ma'am, I can help you with that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a 6-digit code. I want you to read the 6 digits back to me when you receive it. So she did it. She did as instructed. The moment she read the 6th digit, she has given over remote control of her device to the scammer. So now the scammer has access to everything in that computer. Everything. Okay? The scammer is probably in India. Now sometimes people say, why are you picking on India in your presentations? I'm not. There are so many scam call centers in India that the government there and the law enforcement there cannot crack down on them. They have what they call scam call centers. They are staffed 24/7 with 3 shifts of scammers. So any given time, there's all kinds of people making calls, right? Pretending to be from Microsoft, for example. So he puts on some really loud, obnoxious music and says, I'll be right back. I got to look around in your computer, see how bad it is. This music is psychologically designed to raise your blood pressure and to make you super anxious. Then the person finally comes up back on the phone. Oh, I'm so glad you called me. This one is a really bad one. But don't worry, I can fix it in about 5 minutes. All I need is a one-time payment of $500. So what do you think she did? Paid. Yeah. How do you want to pay that $500? Do you want to use a credit card? Do you want to use your bank routing information? Do you want to go to Walmart and buy some gift cards and read me the codes off the back? Okay. So that happened, and then the next day, and her computer started working. The computer started working again, no problem, right? The next day, so the scammer got $500 out of her. Do you think that scammer is going to try to call her again? What's up? Yep, why? It worked the first time. So here's what the scammer did. He said to his buddy, hey, I got $500 off of this woman in Chemung County, New York yesterday. I bet you can't beat that. Oh, give me your information. So he shared her personal information with his buddy. The next day, she gets a call from Chemung Canal Trust Company Bank, which is one of the main banks down in the southern tier, if you're not familiar. And it said that on her phone, Chemung Canal Trust Bank. She answered it because that's where she does her banking. And the voice on the other end of the phone said, hi, I'm an employee with Chemung Canal Trust Bank, and I really shouldn't be calling you because this is inside information. But I know that this bank is about to close, and I want to help you protect your money. So here's what you need to do. You need to go to Chemung Canal Bank and withdraw all of your money. And I want you to bring it home and put it in a cardboard box and wrap it up with duct tape. And we're going to take that money for you. I'm going to send an associate to your house, and he's going to pick up the money. And we're going to take that money to the Federal Reserve System for you, so you know where it will be, so you know where it is, and that it will be safe. So the first time she went to the bank, she withdrew $30,000, put it in the cardboard box. The associate shows up within an hour and takes the box off her porch. Do you think the scammers are going to call her again? Yeah. Why? They've already got $30,500 from her. Okay? So sure enough, the guy calls her again. Did you get all of your money out of Chemung Canal Trust Bank? It doesn't look like you emptied your accounts. Well, no, I didn't empty them. Okay, I want you to get $12,000 more out. That's what it says you have left in your account, because he knows her banking information. He's gotten into her bank. He's hacked into it using the computer and the other information that she had given him. So she goes to the bank and she withdraws $12,000 more. So now she's out $42,500. She puts it in a cardboard box. The associate picks it up. Scammers started to pressure her a little bit. Do you have any money anywhere else? You can't tell anyone that the bank is going to fold. If you do, it's a felony. You'll get charged with a felony, right? Scaring her. Don't tell your family. Don't tell your friends. Well, she started feeling sick about it in her stomach, and she decided to go to the New York State Police to make a report. They assigned her a special investigator, and the special investigator came out to her home and said, "Don't worry, they're going to call again." Sure enough, they did. They wanted her to make one last deposit with the money she had left there. She pretended to go to the bank. She pretended to put the box on the porch like she had before. But this time, when the associate showed up to pick it up, the New York State investigator was inside her living room. As soon as the man touched the box, police came out of everywhere and grabbed him and put him to the ground. Guess what we did back at the scams team office? We celebrated. We had a dance on Teams. Why? Because no one ever gets arrested in these situations. Very rarely does an arrest happen like that in the world that we live in, right? A lot of times you can't figure out who it is because a lot of it is overseas. This one happened to be a team that was made up of people locally as well as in a couple of the cities in New York State. I've even had scams teams that work together from Hong Kong to Rochester. So the person might be thinking they're sending money to someone in Hong Kong, but a Rochester person on the team will pick it up from them. So that's what people do. I've seen people send money in envelopes. I had a fellow that sent $60,000, I think it was, in an envelope, and supposedly to California, but really it was to a scammer. So what are you going to do? You're going to power your device off, all right? Unplug it from the wall. When you come back, it should be gone. If it's not gone when you come back, please take it to a reputable computer place to clean it. Like Best Buy is what we have where I live, so something of that nature. Okay, I've got the signal that it's time to take a break.